Hey, Webmong World Entertainment, and we'll have our little review for episodes 4, 5, and 6 of Andor Season 2, which came out. And again, it's better than the first season, that's for sure, but there's still some big issues with it. Now, we do get Krennic back this time round. He's only in the third episode of these next three, so episode 6. And you've seen it in the trailer. It's him where it looks like he's at a party, because he is at a party. And we get introduced to Bail Organa. Yep, he shows up in here, only this time he's played by Benjamin Bratt. A weird choice. Apparently Jimmy Smith wasn't available. That's what we've been hearing. And the reason I say it's interesting is because there also was talk of, oh, Jimmy Smith's too old to play the younger version of him. And yet you're like, but hang on, Mon Mothma is being played by the same actress who played her in the prequels. So why doesn't that line up? And then Saw Gerrera shows up in episode 4. It's either episode 4 or 5. I'm pretty sure it's 4. And again, he's a younger version of him, so it's like, it makes no sense that Bail Organa, it would be recast. Either way, anyway, Benjamin Bratt is playing him this time around. I think he's meant to be in it a bit more later on, but he's only briefly in episode 6. It's like in passing. He's just like, oh, Mon Mothma, it's good to see you, blah blah blah, and off he toddles. So overall, this one we kind of start finding out more about what the Empire is doing on this planet called Gorman, which is where they're looking to get this mineral from underneath the surface to power the weapon of the Death Star. And the way to try and stop people from kind of rising up against this is to build an armory there. Now, the people are pretty sure it's an armory. They've no proof that it's an armory, but trucks, the Imperial version of trucks, go through the cities all day, every day. Now, here's the one thing we do learn about the Empire in this one, or I should say about certain people in the Empire. It does make them look more ruthless, especially Grand Moff Tarkin. That's right, he's name dropped in this. And apparently on this planet, in this particular city, there's a memorial there, and they're building the armory behind the memorial. Something the Empire said they would never do, but it's going to end up casting this big shadow over the memorial. What's the memorial? 500 people were killed by Grand Moff Tarkin right there. How exactly did he manage to kill them? He landed his cruiser on top of them. That's right. We're not told they landed and just slaughtered people. No. People protested the Empire being there. So we're told people gathered to try and stop them. And more people and more people and more people kept showing up, and the crowd got bigger and bigger and bigger, thinking then they wouldn't go as far to land a cruiser on people, especially unarmed people. And apparently Grand Moff Tarkin did land on them. So you really kind of see just how ruthless they are. All the Imperial stuff is interesting. They're very manipulative. You can see where their strings being pulled, how they actually know what's happening in places, but they're pulling strings to make other things happen. Stuff like that. And that's throughout all 3 of the episodes. It's Cyril is now on Gorman as the head of the document place or whatever the hell it is, and he's obviously relaying messages back to Deirdre, whatever she's called, and all that type of stuff to let them know, the somewhat rebels that are forming on this planet are interested in meeting with me. I've got an in, and they set up basically, okay, what do we need to do? Right, we need to let them actually push through and capture some of these weapons, so that we have to give them a win so we can kind of come back a bit harder on them, because they're trying to, rather than the Empire just walking in and crushing the Gormans, they're trying to make them do it themselves, basically, by giving them these wins. Oh look, they're starting a rebellion, now we have an excuse to go in. All that's happening while Andor gets sent by Luthien to Gorman to find out what's going on and to see if it's worth helping. And he pretty much is like, it's not worth helping. They don't know what they're doing. It's a no-win scenario basically there. While he's off planet, Luther goes and speaks with Bix. Bix, by the way, this is hilarious. So in season 1, she got tortured mercilessly by the Empire. She's still having nightmares, even though this is now 2 years later. By the way, these 3 episodes are a year after the last 3 episodes. So again, they are doing this time jump for each one. She then was almost raped in the last one. And this one, we find out, yeah, she's pretty much becoming a junkie now. It's like, wow, you were really just tearing this woman down. And like, you can't see a road for redemption. One big element that did stick out like a sore thumb, more so in episode 3 than any of the others, is when Andor decides not to take the mission on Gorman. Like, after he goes there and he comes back and tells Luthen, look, they're too weak, they don't know what they're doing, they're panicking, they're rushing into things, they're going to lose. And Luthen's like, you gotta go and help, you know? And he's like, no, you can leave me out of this one. He sends the other girl, the gay one, or whatever she's called, Val or Vale or something like that. Who does she run into there? That's right, her girlfriend. The one who she saw taking away the guy who was going to pretty much expose Mon Mothma and stuff in the last episode. We have no answers what happened with him. We don't know whether he's dead or not. Which everybody was like, that makes no sense, where it's clearly he has to die. But this next episode's going to jump a year or so, and you didn't show us this guy being taken out. And we don't have any answers as to whether or not he's been taken out or not. So they're on that planet. They take over the mission. It was still all a setup. They get away with the mission, except the Indian girlfriend manages to get shot and killed. So she's dead right after they hooked back up. So that was a bit dumb. Oh, by the way, the Gormans, I think it's called Gormans. They speak what sounds like French. It literally sounds like a dialogue of French. Even their accents are French. It's like, this is really weird. But all that's happening, that's throughout all 3 episodes. Andor is barely in the 3rd episode. He's in the start of it and the end of it. The end of it is him and Bix find the Dr. Gross, or whatever he's called, that tortured Bix in the 1st season, and they kill him. We're not quite sure how they got the information of where he is. Probably through Luthen. Either way, he's dead, so whatever. And Luthen is pretty much in his shop with his helper, whatever she is to him, and he's basically starting to lose, saying like, we've too many wires out there, we've too many things happening all at once, and we're drowning in it. We have to kind of basically slim our process of what we're doing. We need to focus more on simple things, because there's just too much. We're trying to do too much. So there's interesting things there, you know. The issue I had, the biggest issue I was saying with the 3rd episode, is the lesbian couple. The fact that they meet on the planet and they literally kind of stop the show for these to have a conversation about, I've missed you too, I'm sorry I left, blah blah blah. And then they do it again later in the episode. And it's like, I don't care about these 2 people. I don't care about their relationship. There was nothing really that important about their relationship in the 1st season, so why you've actually just stopped the story to tell and show this crap is pointless. And it doesn't matter whether it was even a straight couple. It's like, the mission that's being set up here and what they're doing, you've stopped to do a I've missed you too type of crap, and you're like, I don't care. And when the Indian one dies, you're like, I don't care. They're trying to make it this big impactful moment. You're like, I couldn't care less about this. Just so you know, you all need to die, because none of you show up ever again. The whole thing with Saw Gerrera is the young guy who was with Bix on the planet. How he ends up on this rebel base, I don't know. It's never said. But he was only meant to be there for a day. But Saw Gerrera is saying basically, you're gonna leave and I tell you can leave. And he has him training this other guy to basically crack a code on this machine that siphons fuel, which they call Rhino or something like that. And it's basically, you can see Saw Gerrera is going to basically say, once this guy is done training this guy, we're killing him. He saw too much. He knows our faces now. We're killing him. But he actually kills the other guy, because it turns out the other guy was a spy for the Empire. So he brings the young guy with them and cracks the thing. And you just find out that Saw Gerrera is insane. Like, literally, he is off his head insane. And that's basically it. That's basically all 3 episodes. So the most intriguing things is seeing the workings of the Empire more than the building with the rebellion, because there's really nothing in that this time around. Mon Mothma was pretty much wasted this time around. We do get to see the Galactic Senate again for a brief minute. Like, literally, they're there, and the way you go to church, or maybe to start it in the States when you go to school, you pledge the allegiance, that thing. They're basically doing that, but to the Empire, and that's all you see of the actual Senate. And so it's like, okay, so people were getting excited about seeing the Senate, and that's it. That's what you got to see, the Senate for now anyway. So overall, that was the 3 episodes. Better probably than the first 3, still better than the first season, but overall not great, but it is what it is. So we'll wait and see what happens with the next ones. So with that, I shall leave it there for this one. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.